like we're ready to go, folks. Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting for December 1st, 2015. Merry Christmas to everybody, soon. Those that have not had the pleasure of attending a Planning Commission meeting, the way things work here is once we're done with roll call and going over the minutes from the last meeting, city staff presents on an item. Once they're done with their presentation, it's open up to the Planning Commission for technical questions. Once we're done with our technical questions, we open it up to anybody in the audience who would like to speak to an item. If you choose to speak, we ask that you step up to the microphone, state your name and your address, and please try to keep your comments as germane to the topic as possible. You may get questions from the members. Once people are done with their opportunity to ask questions, we close public discussion and bring it back to the commission for discussion and a vote. With that, let's call the roll.
David Borsak, Ed Bowen.
Here.
Jeffrey Tomes, Thomas Wojtek.
Here.
John Hinch.
Here.
Steve Cummings, Kathleen Propp.
Here.
Gary Gray.
Here.
Donna Laurie.
Here.
Robert Weigert.
Here.
Carl Nolenberger.
All right. Approval of the minutes from the 17th of November. Is there any corrections, deletions, additions?
Move for approval.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any opposed? Motion clearly passes. Let's move on to item number 1, accept sign easement at 2100 South Keller Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The city is requesting acceptance of an eastment from Aviation Restaurant Corp. for the placement of a Welcome to Oshkosh sign near the intersection of South Keller Street and West South Park Avenue, or Highway 44. Up on the screen, I have this aerial photo showing the subject site. This is the Hardee's restaurant, most of you should be familiar with, along South Keller Street, with the subject site being a tiny little, about 900 square foot easement request towards the southeastern portion of the property. Just kind of a little close-up view. The reason for this request is the city and the Oshkosh Community Foundation have been working to identify locations to install Welcome to Oshkosh signs throughout the community. The foundation is providing funding to construct and install the signs, while the city is providing additional work in the form of technical assistance to find the locations and installation of power and landscape and restoration surrounding the signs. Let's see here. This is a rendition of what the sign will look like. It's approximately 14 feet tall and 12 feet wide. And next slide. This is one doesn't show up very well, but that's kind of a rendering what the sign will look like at night with it illuminated. And this is just a street view showing the approximate location. Location's approximately in this center of the circle area right there, kind of facing towards the southwest. This is just a schematic drawing of the proposed easement, not to scale. The others, well, typically the city was planning to have the signs located within the city or public right-of-way. However, this particular location, I'm going to go back to this map here. This particular location is within the state of Wisconsin DOT right-of-way. And due to the acquisition method used to acquire this right-of-way, the process to allow the city to enable us to install that sign is lengthy and may result in additional expenses to the city. So the foundation approached the owner of the Hardee's property to see if the sign could be located within or on their private property, and they've been agreeable to that. The city's staff is currently working on final easement agreements, and will go through a normal process and be reviewed by the city attorney and be recorded at the Winnebago County Register of Deeds. So staff is recommending approval of the proposed sign easement as requested.
All righty. Technical questions, John.
If you could go back to that zoomed in map that you had again with
Sure.
around there. Just seems like the obvious question, why can't it be located south of the Hardee's property?
It's DOT controlled right away.
And they won't allow it?
And it's the method of how the DOT acquired that property is in question. Steve can probably give a little more background to the, nothing simple.
The DOT has a outdoor sign regulation code ordinance essentially where so that they can control essentially people putting off-site signs along highways. They have a means to control to prevent various businesses from going out and putting them in the right-of-way and doing that. So the city sign is really no different than that, than a business sign in the grand scheme of the whole thing.
Their definitions?
In their definitions. It's still an off-site premise advertising sign. They will allow a municipality to put one in because it is just for a municipality. If it has no advertising, they will allow them to go along a highway inside the municipal limits, but not within the right-of-ways that they control. That is the issue. The question really is, we're finding some documents. The DOT said that they acquired this, basically had to purchase it, so they've bought the rights. Eminent domain laws come in. You can't use property that was acquired through eminent domain for any purpose other than what it was purchased for. So we're going through, there's a little question in our mind right now whether this was dedicated or in the eminent domain process, so we're still trying to sort that out. This is our plan that we can get it in for sure here with this, if we have the easement. If we can get it in the right of way, we're still hoping. I think it's probably a thin hope, slim hope at this point in time, but
I just had to ask the question because it seemed, because you see all that open space right there.
we thought it was going to be a slam dunk to start with, too.
Okay. Well, thank you for enlightening us.
Other technical questions, Gary?
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused on this second from the last sentence in the analysis on the second page, where it says, "The owner is agreeable to granting the easements upon final location of the easement document." Is that supposed to say, based on the final location of the sign, as opposed to?
Or the final area where the easement was
Okay.
designed.
But we don't care where the document is located. Okay. The next question is the city governed by the sign ordinance? I mean, does it need to comply to the city's sign ordinance, or is it exempt?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay. The final question is, what's actually on the sign? Because the example of that is given to us. It has welcome, and then Oshkosh, and then established in 1853. It seems to me like it should be welcome to Oshkosh, not welcome Oshkosh.
We're here just to approve the easement for placement of the sign, not about the design of the sign.
Okay, I realize that, but it would make sense, a friendly suggestion is to say welcome to Oshkosh instead of welcome Oshkosh.
I would suggest going to the foundation or...
You'd be great, Gary.
Well, we're not here to talk about we're not here to talk about the design of the sign, just for the placement of it.
I understand that, but if I could make a suggestion to make it a little more understanding, in my estimation, I made the suggestion, whether or not people pick it up, that's up to them.
And we'll bring it to the group's attention, but it'll be up to them.
Other technical questions? All right, seeing none, anyone here in the audience to speak to this item today? It's racing to the podium, so let's close public commentary and bring it back to the commission.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, let's call the roll.
Vince?
Aye.
Bob? Aye. Gray?
Aye.
Pardon me. Lori?
Aye.
Weigert?
Aye.
Bowen?
Aye.
Wojtek?
Aye.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, let us move on to item number 2. Residential design standards variance request to permit less window area on an addition than required by the design standards for single and two-family homes at 1834 Crane Street. A bit of a run-on sentence there, folks, but...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
The applicant is requesting approval of a variance from the city's residential design standards to permit less than 25% window area on the north and south side facades of a second-story addition at 1834 Crane Street. Code Section 3035N5E states that building additions and change in designs that create blank walls on any front or side facade are not permitted. A front or side facade must have a minimum of 25% of its wall space devoted to window or door openings. The subject property is a residential lot containing a one-story, single-family residential structure. The property is located on the 1800 block of Crane Street between Columbia Avenue and West Murdoch Avenue. The neighborhood and general area consists predominantly of single-family uses similar in style and scale to the subject property and is zoned R1, single-family residence. And here's an aerial view of the subject site. The Plan Commission is authorized to grant variances from the strict application of the standards when it is determined that the intent of the standards have been incorrectly interpreted, the standards do not apply to the particular project, and/or the enforcement of the standards causes unnecessary hardship. The petitioner is proposing to construct a second-story addition for a master bedroom, bathroom, and other additional living area. As proposed, the front west elevation of the addition will have 25% of the facade devoted to window openings, which meets the design standards requirements. However, the sides elevations of the addition will have 12% on the south side and 12.5% on the south side and 13.5% on the north side of the facade area devoted to window openings. For this reason, a variance is necessary as the residential design standards require that 25% of front or side facades in addition be devoted to window and door openings. The existing single-story home's front elevation has 34% of its facade devoted to window and doors, while the side elevations have 13% on the south and 10% on the north of the facades devoted to window and door openings. And here is the front elevation, and the existing first story has 34% of the facade devoted to window and doors, and the proposed second story has 25%, which meets the residential design standards. And here's the north side facade where the first story, which is existing, has 10% of the facade devoted to windows, and the proposed second story addition would have 13.5% of the addition devoted to windows. And here's the south side facade, and the existing first story has 13% of the facade devoted to windows, and the proposed second story addition would have 12.5% devoted to windows. And here's the rear facade, which is not required by residential design standards to have the window area. And the petitioner feels that the design standards requirement requiring 25% of the front and side facades to be devoted to window and door openings does not apply to this particular project, because this requirement would result in the second story area devoted to windows being much larger than the windows in the first story. In order to meet the 25% window requirement, the side facades of the second story addition would need to have roughly twice the window area of the side facades in the first story. And the applicant feels that this would cause the architectural style of the addition to be inconsistent with the existing home and overpower the first floor, making it appear odd or out of place. And staff has evaluated the proposal and impact on the design of the addition in regard to the purpose and intent of the design standards as they relate to preserving its architectural integrity, as well as the potential impact on adjacent properties, the neighborhood character, and the curb appeal of the block. And staff is in support of the variance request because enforcement of the 25% window and door opening requirement would result in the architectural style of the second story addition being inconsistent with the existing home. And the windows in the second story addition will be similar in size and style to the windows in the first story and be consistent in wall area with the first floor. And staff also feels that the addition will not adversely affect the neighborhood character, as the proposed window sizes and styles will not be inconsistent with other homes in the immediate vicinity. And staff recommends approval of the variance request to permit an addition with less than 25% of the side facades devoted to window and door openings at 1834 Crane Street, with the findings that the design standards do not apply to this particular project because enforcement of the standards would cause the addition to be architecturally inconsistent with the existing house. Also, as proposed, the addition will not adversely affect the neighborhood character or curb appeal of the block.
All right, thank you. Technical questions from the commission? Once, twice, finished. Anybody here from the audience to speak to this item today? Once, twice. All right, public commentary is closed. Back to the commission.
Motion to approve.
Been moved and seconded, and I think we got Don on the second. Any discussion on the motion? I would just like to wish the people who are doing this good luck. Anything else? All right, let's call the roll.
Hintz,
Aye.
Pop,
Aye.
Gray,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Weigert,
Aye.
Bowen,
Aye.
Voitek.
Aye.
Motion carried, 7-0.
Okay, with that, it says here, Planning Director's Report.
Hey, why don't you come up here quick and talk a little bit about zoning ordinance?
Sure. All right. Well, zoning ordinance is chugging along. We have, the final drafts of about half of it down. The other half, we're just doing a final staff review, making sure all the comments from the working group and the plan commission are incorporated, or where they're not incorporated, they become larger discussion items. The one hiccup that we're going to be having, so we'll have a draft code of all articles that are being rewritten, except for signage, in December, probably within a couple weeks. Signage is problematic. I don't know if anybody's been following court cases. Supreme Court did a ruling that jarred sort of all municipality sign codes without getting into details. Basically requires content neutrality. Almost every municipality sign code are based on content. So it's like you can have a garage sale sign, or you can have a political sign, or you can have a congratulatory sign, but you can't have an advertising sign, let's say. And without getting deeply into it, the Supreme Court decision, which was very varied in their opinions, threw a huge wrench in it. Everybody's rewriting their sign codes. So that's probably going to be coming in as a separate document, but we'll run it through as part of the whole rewrite.
And what we see is you're going to see a lot more signs. There'll be more signs. There might be less of them as far as area of square footage, and we still can control sign placement, sizes, things like that. But you're going to see there'll be more in the community. So
You're going to pull that out. You're going to pull that out.
We're going to do
See
it
what the rest of
separately, and we're going to adopt at the same time because we think we're going to do it relatively short order. But yeah, it really the Supreme Court decision really threw a monkey wrench in most sign codes across the United States.
And threw a monkey wrench in our two or three drafts that we had of our sign code already. So that one be on hold. But everything else is pretty much on track. I've been going through all the sections. So this month we should have a big consolidated chunk. You've seen the working group and the plan commission has seen every article, with the exception of signs, and the definitions article. And I'll send that out. We won't have a meeting on the definitions. It's pretty basic with the working group or the plan commission, but I'll send that out to everybody. And then obviously when we get a full document with signs, or possibly even without signs, we'll get that out to you as well. So it'll be a nice thick document.
Great.
Not as thick as our existing one.
Well, the nice thing is you've seen most of the stuff. With
yeah.
the exception of signage, you've seen it. So
So that's kind of where we are.
next would be the Central City Investment Strategy. Now, I did send out a flurry of invites today to this.
Yeah, what's up with that? Did you get that all squared away?
It was new technology.
Is it your computer?
It was a new technology for
problem?
me. This is why the admin function is so very important. I was doing this on my own, and I was setting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
So setting up the meeting we're going to have a roundtable discussion on December 15th in this room, both rooms, from 5:30 to 7:30. So we'll hold it after the Plan Commission meeting. Plan Commission meeting doesn't look like it's going to run long, so we shouldn't run into an issue. And what we're doing is we're doing that downtown action plan update that we're kind of labeling, I think, Imagine Downtown Oshkosh, something like that. With our consultant that we hired on this, which is Houseel Levine and Associates out of the Chicagoland area, and I need two more down here. And the consultant's going to be in town to kind of kick off the process, and the first thing that they're going to do is sit down with the Plan Commission, Common Council, BID, and RDA, and we're going to have a roundtable discussion in this room on kind of the downtown, where we see the downtown going in the next 10 to 20 years, what we want to see in the downtown. So it's going to be kind of a visionary thing. So that meeting is going to be held in this room December 15th. And for those of you, I sent out an email invite. Now, some of you don't like email, I understand that. So we'll have to send out, in the next package, we'll send out another, just some type of notice, Deb, so make a note, we'll mail to everybody who's not here in case they didn't get the email invite. So that starts the process. They'll be here the week. They'll be doing some individual stakeholder meetings with some of the other downtown interest types and things like that. But the process is now starting to get underway. We're excited about it, and we can't wait to see the product that we get sometime next year. So, questions on that, anybody? Great.
Yeah. On the meeting on the 15th of December, it's just basically discussion.
Yep.
There's no
You don't have to do any prep.
tentative or initial report from the consultants.
No, we are right at the onset of the process.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay, good enough. Good, then I don't have to read
No,
anything.
you don't have to do any the document that I gave you is their proposal that when they responded to our RFP, we had 11 parties responding to the RFP. This was kind of the winning proposal, and this is what we based the contract off of. Kathy, you had a question?
Yeah, and that was, you just answered it.
Okay. Yep, just come with a lot of thoughts. What,
Yeah,
David?
the only thing I was going to add is, when did we do our downtown?
Oh, the downtown action plan, remember, we haven't updated that since, it was done in '02, I think, or '02, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's been a long, 2000?
I think that's what the other document you sent.
So it's been a long time, and we've been greatly successful with the downtown action plan, but what we're doing with this proposal is we're taking that plan, which I think was more narrow in scope, and we're really widening that out. This is going to be more of a comprehensive plan for the downtown area. The nice thing is we think they'll be able to pair into our comprehensive plan relatively easy, and the two will mesh together. And that's another process that we're going to start this next year. Yes, the budget's been approved. We'll be moving forward with an update to the comprehensive plan next year.
Okay.
There, I have another question. Is this proposal just for the business area north of the river or south of the river?
It goes south, and that's another nice thing that the south side hasn't got a lot of, over the years, hasn't got as much attention as the stuff north of the river. So yes, the plan is going down Oregon, down South Maine, and I forget how far it gets down there. So it's taking into those business quarters.
I'm just wondering, is there any attempt, and I'm not sure if there is anything like this, any attempt to contact some kind of organization south of the river? Because the bid is based north of the river. And it would be nice to have people south of the river in the discussion.
We're going to try that, and we've identified some stakeholders that we think that we can pull from the south side of the river, like the
Good.
Morgan Group people and maybe some business owners down there. So yes, we're trying to that early in the process. So, but we
Yes, yes,
want to do
understand.
something there. Kathy?
I'm a bit confused about how this plan is going to fit in to our riverfront visioning plan, to our south side redevelopment. Seems like we're layering plans on top, well, it seems that way. Layering plans on top of each other, and I think attempting to speak for the Plan Commission, we've been a little nervous about not getting the right opportunity, I want to say, to weigh in on what we want to see
Well,
as a Plan Commission, in terms of globs of land use and size of buildings, and I know we've talked about some of that, but how is this going to relate to some of these other plans that are either done or in process?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, remember, we have the Riverwalk plan. That was that's a very focused plan. We've got some we've got some TIF plans and redevelopment plans that are very focused in areas. You have the riverfront visioning, which really kind of looked at what we want to see along the river. Now, the consultant has all these plans. That's a nice thing. They have to read it. The consultant has all these plans. They're supposed to help us coalesce all those documents into one big, coherent, overall plan for the area. Because this is going to be a mini comprehensive plan for that area. So a lot of the plans you talked about are more area specific. There's special corridor plans. There are things like this. This is going to take all those plans, hopefully, and meld them into one. But what I want you to do is I want you to remember what you just said, and I want you to repeat that to the consultant when they're here. They've done this before, they're good at it, but I want them to hear all these things that you're saying, the comments that you're making, I want them to hear that. Now, I will say that with our riverfront overlay, some of the concerns that you're talking about, we did put that in there, didn't we, David? building size, where we want the buildings to be placed, stuff like that. So we did put some of that stuff in there. So it's in the zoning ordinance too. So I just had to get that pitch in there.
He probably remembers.
It makes me nervous because, I see, well, it doesn't make me nervous, I think it's wonderful. I see signs out on our redevelopment south side, development opportunity, call here, and I'm thinking, what development opportunity?
Well,
Give us a,
What are the parameters?
can't halt progress. though.
parameters, a little land use guidance type of thing. And
You're right, but we can't be stifled by us not having this plan in place either. So what do? Do you stop development? Do you stop Ed and Company from developing, which, I've been trying to do, but.
You can't.
I can't stop
They
it.
just keep adding to your tax base. Sorry. The nerve of that guy.
I'm joking. but-
You're not aesthetic.
I'm joking, but yeah, it was a great question. Just remember to bring that up at that meeting, please
And I
do.
believe a lot of the elements that you'll see in this,
I gave
this
them all these
plan will be able to chime in on.
Okay, good. If we can create a big picture, that'll be fine.
That's what
what
this
this
is
is.
intended to be, that big picture, top-down, taking all these little components, putting them into one.
There is also
Hold on, one step.
downtown parking study.
That's it, and they have that as well. Or they don't have it yet, it's almost, we're almost done with that. That'll be coming up pretty soon, too.
I will be very remiss if I let this opportunity go by, and I'm sorry to do this to you. But, as you know, I am, or maybe you don't know, I am the chair of ADRC, which is a county, and I am concerned with the elderly and the disabled. And I'm here to tell you that the bus system we have in this city now, since April, is defunct. I have to tell you that. I've been going to transportation meetings, and we are at a standstill because of somebody that sits over here in this office. So, as you are going forward, what this city needs is more buses. You need a central location for the hub, not out to Walmart, and that needs to be in the plan. So, because I'm sure downtown here, the hub we have is not sufficient. And what the city is doing is they are eliminating the teenagers from, say, 12 on up to 15, 18, of utilizing the bus service to get from Bowen Street out north to the YMCA out on 20th. It takes 1 hour and 10 transfers.
Oh, my gosh.
1 hour, 10 transfers, and if you've got a child that you want to go, she wants to go to the Y. So I'm giving this to you. I've been carrying it around a long time, I'm working on it, but nobody listens to me. I would like to add one more thing.
You just sit there. There's a time and a place for things that you're discussing. The time that you're really discussing, the place where that should be really discussed, I think is part of any planning process that we're going through around this table as part of the Plan Commission. The time and place for that is probably the best served when we update the comprehensive plan. There's a transportation element in there. It fits somewhere in a public facilities element in there. I think you need to hold your powder for those
I'm
discussions.
just informing.
No, I know.
Just informing.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Central City.
Good information.
Update here. Well, what other thing?
The other thing was, as you know, the sign today for welcoming people into the city. It's beautiful. I'm happy to see it's being done. And I want to comment on the corridors coming into the city are beautiful. They're coming along, whoever is responsible for that, whether it be our Parks Department or the Transportation Department or whoever. We are putting on a very nice face.
And I can tell you in that regard, just because you raised it, corridors, we're going to be also looking at some special corridor plans within the next year or two coming into town. We want to look at what we can do to improve the 9th Avenue corridor coming into town to make that a nice experience coming into town, and as well as the Oshkosh Avenue one. So we're going to look at how we can improve those corridors as well. So, Gary, you had one thing were you trying to say something before? Okay. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Any other questions for the
Move to adjourn.
powerful man here?
Esteemed staff.
Been moved?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, we're done, thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Wow.